Hello, this is Lisa Parent, and welcome to another episode of Cougars Corner. We'll start with a rundown on your MRU basketball teams and then head over to hockey with Dawson. The men's basketball team is currently sitting at a record of 7 wins to 9 losses. 3 of those wins are against Lethbridge, 4 against MacEwan, and 1 against Thompson Rivers. MRU took 2 tough losses to the U Calgary Dinos on January 14th and 15th. In Game 1, Vandervelden had a beautiful three-pointer to contribute to MRU's short lead in the first half of the game. The Cougars struggled to keep that lead, but Vandervelden was consistent with an enormous dunk in the third. The next day, the Cougars had a closer game, coming just 9 points short of the Dinos. Late January, Mount Royal headed to Lethbridge, securing 1 win and 1 loss. Lutz and Patron managed to rack up 46 points just between the two of them for MRU. MRU then took on the University of Alberta in 2 games, falling short in both. Matt Fullerton took on a leadership role in the first game, making sure his team focused on ball movement to create more scoring opportunities. Day 2 was a well-rounded one for the entire team. Tommy made an exciting game for the fans, grabbing 17 points and 3 assists. Lutz took home player of the game, putting up 15 points and 5 rebounds and shooting 60%. Although they fell short in the win department, it was clear the men were working hard to prep for playoffs. Heading back to face the Dinos, the Cougars took 2 more losses. However, the Cougars made it a close one with 28 points in the third quarter of the first game. This closed the 15-point gap to a 1-point gap in the last 10 minutes. Nate Patron put 30 points onto the scoreboard for his team. Patron said that they started playing well in the last half of the game, but then it was just too late. The game ended in a 2-point loss for MRU. The Cougars picked up their game while playing the MacEwan Griffins. The men took 2 solid wins with a lopsided score of 102-62 for MRU in the first game. The men's basketball team may have started peaking just in time for playoffs to start in early March. Moving over to our Cougars women's team, MRU finished the regular season with 5 wins and 11 losses. The women started slow in the new year with 5 consecutive losses. In Game 1 against the Dinos mid-January, Jenica Martins weaved her way through opposition players with a nice jumper in the last 5 seconds of the quarter. Martins stole some of that spotlight, scoring 16 of 48 points for her team. In Game 2 a day later, Jamie Layler was on fire as she stacked 11 points on top of her 10 rebounds. The following weekend, the Cougars were down south to take on the Pronghorns of Lethbridge. The majority of the first one was close, however, U of L was able to take control in the third quarter and eventually win by a final score of 88-72. A day later, Mount Royal was looking for revenge, but were unsuccessful as they lost in a 62-96 final. Tanis Metcalf led the Cougars with 20 points and went 6 for 10 on field goals. At the end of January, the Cougars would secure their first win of the new year when they played the U of A Pandas and came out on top by just 1 point. Jamie Layler snatched player of the game with 18 points, 5 steals, and 5 assists. The women went on to win their next game against the Dinos on February 4th, where they won by a score of 52-46. The women were most proud of their win against the Dinos, feeling like they had finally found their groove. Jordan Blaskin got player of the game, making 8 huge rebounds, which contributed to the solid win. Their final game against the Dinos was another close one, but were defeated 54-58. Just prior to playoffs, the Cougars split a 2-game series against the MacEwan Griffins. During their 75-71 win, the Cougars' starting lineup combined for a total of 48 points. Both the men's and women's basketball are in a good position heading into the playoffs.
Welcome to your hockey rundown. I'm Dawson Pahl. The men's hockey team started the semester with an exhibition match against U of A. They may have lost that one, but they found a way to rebound the following weekend on January 21st and 22nd. It was a battle of the big cats as the Regina Cougars were in town to try and steal the claim for the best Cougars in the league. Regina got on the board early, but in the second, Riley Lindgren said thank you very much and put it past the goalie after a huge giveaway by the defender. Late in the third, the score was 3-2 for Regina until Riley Lindgren netted his second goal of the game to tie it up. And just when the teams were about to get set for overtime, Josh Tarswell went top shelf with 25 seconds left, and MRU won the game by a score of 4-3. A day later, U of R was on the prowl looking for revenge, but weren't so lucky as Brad Kennedy netted a hat trick and Mount Royal walked away with a 5-1 victory. Next up on the schedule was a doubleheader in Edmonton as the Cougars took on the MacEwan Griffins at the end of January. Over the two games, MRU outscored their opponent 13-3 and were triumphant in a 4-2 and 9-3 win. To kick off Black History Month, Mount Royal was home to battle it out against UBC Thunderbirds. In the first matchup of the weekend, Ethan Regnier, Robbie Holmes, and Jared Power each put the puck in the net, and not one, not two, but 3 goals were scored by Nolan Yaremko to propel the Cougars to a 6-2 final. A day later, the Cougars were back at the Flames Community Arenas, and the Thunderbirds just about pulled off a huge comeback. MRU scored the first 5 goals, including this great individual effort by Riley Lindgren. Clearly on a mission, UBC was able to score the next 3 and came close to mounting a comeback, but didn't quite get enough as MRU was able to win 5-3. Moving on to the February 11th, the men's team looked to keep their streak alive as they took on their rivals, the UFC Dinos. In this one, first-year Seth Barfo netted a laser for his first goal as a Cougar. The Dinos would answer with a power play goal in the second after Cougars goalie Riley Morris couldn't quite stop the shot. Determined to swing the momentum back in their favor, MRU responded with 4 unanswered goals from Riley Sawchuk, Andrew Phaeton, Kyle Walker, and Levi Klebor. The Cougars would win this one by a score of 6-1. A day later, the Cougars weren't as lucky as they lost to the Dinos by a final score of 4-6. Mount Royal finished their regular season with a record of 13 wins and 8 losses. Switching gears to the women's side of things, the Cougars kicked off their semester with a shutout win versus the U of R Cougars. Goaltender Caitlin Ross had 22 saves, and Tiana Coe and Brianne Trotter picked up the 2 goals of the evening. The following afternoon, the Cougars stayed in Regina and had another impressive game. Both Cougars teams combined for 8 goals, and Mount Royal won by a score of 7-1. Heading west approximately 1,700 kilometers from Regina, MRU traveled to Vancouver with a series against the Thunderbirds. They lost Game 1 by a score of 2-0, but found a way to turn things around and win Game 2 by a score of 1-0. For the only goal of the game, Mackenzie Butts fires a shot from the point, and the puck crosses the line and heads into the net. The women's team seems to love winning in shutout fashion as they took on the UFC Dinos on February 11th, and once again, they did not allow their opponent to score. No action in the first, but midway through the second, Taylor Saka tracked down the rebound and found the back of the net after a huge scramble in front of the goalie. Later in the middle frame, Mackenzie Butts made no mistake on the power play and rocketed a shot from the point. In the third, Captain Tatum Amy was given a beautiful present from Dinos defender and scored top shelf. Cindy Benko would later find the empty net, and MRU shut down the Dinos 4-0. A day later, the 2 rival teams would have a rematch, and the Cougars would score an impressive 7 times in 60 minutes of play. The goal scorers for this one were Leah Joma, Anna Pershke, Lindy Janes, Cindy Benko, Kea Borbandi, and Courtney Coleman. UFC would get 2, but that wouldn't matter as MRU won by a score of 7-2. For their final 2 matchups of the regular season, your MRU Cougars took on the MacEwan Griffins in an exciting 2-game series. Only 2 goals were allowed in the 2 games, and they were able to find the back of the net a total of 6 times. They won the first match 4-1 and the second one by a score of 2-1. On the season, Mount Royal had an impressive 16 wins and only surrendered a loss 4 times. Pretty good season for both the men's and women's hockey teams.